Have you ever stopped to ask who was God before creation? Before the stars, before the earth, before man? Who or what was God? This question has puzzled thinkers, mystics, and believers for thousands of years. Hidden in the highlands of East Africa, in the ancient scrolls of the Ethiopian Bible, lies a unique story, one that dares to answer the unanswerable. The Ethiopian Bible is one of the oldest and most complete Bibles in the world. It is also more than a religious book. It is a window into a time when faith, philosophy, and African wisdom came together. We will explore ancient Ethiopian beliefs about the origin of God. Was God always there? What was he doing before time began? What does the Ethiopian Bible reveal that other traditions might overlook? This is about existence itself. Most people are familiar with the King James Bible. Some may have heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls or the Greek Septuagint, but very few know about the Ethiopian Bible. The Ethiopian Bible, written in Guizi, an ancient African language, is one of the oldest versions of the scriptures still in use today. It has 81 books, while most Western Bibles have only 66. These extra books include ancient writings like the Book of Enoch, the Book of Jubilees, and other texts that were removed from many other versions of the Bible. Many of these writings talk deeply about the spiritual world, about creation, and even about what existed before creation. In Ethiopia, faith is woven into the very land, into history, into identity. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church, one of the oldest Christian traditions on earth, has preserved teachings passed down for thousands of years. These teachings offer a unique view on who God is and always was. While the West often focuses on God's actions after creation, the Ethiopian Bible isn't afraid to ask the deeper question: who was God before anything existed? That's where our story really begins. Before time existed, there was no before. No ticking clocks, no sunrise, no nightfall, just eternity, unmoving, endless, and silent. The Ethiopian Bible points us towards something extraordinary. It tells us that God existed in a state of perfect stillness. He wasn't floating in space because space didn't exist. He wasn't waiting for something to happen because time hadn't begun. He was simply there, complete, full, eternal. In the Book of Enoch, held sacred in Ethiopian tradition, Enoch sees God dwelling in a place of pure light. Created light like sunlight, but eternal light. Light that always was, light that shines from within. God didn't become. He always was. Before the angels sang, before the earth was shaped, before a single star lit up the sky, he was already there. He is the reason things exist at all. In Ethiopian belief, he is እግዚአብሔር, a title that means the one who reveals, the Lord of hosts. Before creation, God wasn't lonely. He didn't need anything. He didn't lack anything. He was everything. He didn't need light. He was the light. He didn't need love. He was love. He didn't need time. He was eternity. This is deeply meaningful. It reminds us that God didn't create out of weakness. He created from wholeness. If God had everything, why did he choose to create anything at all? According to the Ethiopian teachings, creation was born out of love. God didn't create the universe because he was lacking something. He created because he wanted to share what he already was. Imagine a cup overflowing with water. It spills because it's empty, but because it's too full. That's how Ethiopian thought describes God's creation. He overflowed with glory, light, and life. And from that fullness, the universe was born. In the Book of Jubilees, another sacred Ethiopian text, it is written that God planned everything long before it appeared. The angels, the stars, even the story of humanity. In the Ethiopian view, creation is physical. It is spiritual. God first created the invisible world, the world of spirit, angels, and light. Only later did he shape the material universe. Creation was a multi-layered process. And it all began in the mind and will of a God who already existed in eternity. This shows us that before anything began, there was already purpose. You were an accident. The world was random. Everything started with a divine idea. Who was God really? Before the stars, before the angels, before the first breath of man. According to Ethiopian Christian tradition, God was three in one: Father, Word, and Spirit. This is something borrowed from European Christianity. It is ancient, rooted in Ethiopian belief long before missionaries arrived. In the Kebra Nagast, Ethiopia's legendary royal chronicle, it is said that the Trinity existed from the beginning, equal in power and united in essence. The Father was the source. The Word, what we call Christ, was the expression. The Spirit was the breath of life. But all three were one being, one mystery. Before creation, God was just powerful. He was also personal. He had thoughts, will, emotion, identity. He wasn't just a force. He was a being. Ethiopian tradition speaks of God as having 99 names, each describing a different aspect of who He is. The Most High, the Merciful, the All-Knowing, the Eternal Flame, and so on. These names reveal a rich view of God. Distant but near. Cold but warm. Silent but full of voice and vision. When He created, it wasn't the start of His story. It was the beginning of ours. There's a teaching in Ethiopian mysticism that speaks of the great silence. It says that before creation, God was silent. Because He had nothing to say, but because there was no one yet to hear it. This silence wasn't emptiness. It was fullness. A silence so deep, so pure, it held all sound within it. Like the moment before a song begins, like the breath before a word. From that silence, God spoke. Let there be light. That first word wasn't just about light in the sky. It was the moment spirit became sound. Thought became action. Eternity entered time. The Ethiopian view sees creation as a divine conversation, a speech that started in silence and continues even now. When we listen closely, we can still hear the echo of that first voice. This tells us that God has always been speaking, even before time began. It reminds us that we too were created to hear. The Book of Enoch, preserved in full only in the Ethiopian Bible, offers one of the most detailed glimpses into the spiritual world before creation. In this book, Enoch, a righteous man, was taken up into the heavens and shown secrets that even angels did fully understand. He saw the throne of God shining like fire. He saw the watchers, angels created before the world, standing in silence, worshiping the Eternal One. And he saw the place where time begins and ends. One powerful line from Enoch says, "Before anything came to be, His name was praised." That's a deep thought. It means that worship didn't begin with humans. It didn't even begin with angels. It existed before existence. Because God is worthy whether anyone is watching or watching. This vision changes how we see God. He's just a creator. He's the beginning of beginnings. The one reality that gives meaning to all other things. The Book of Enoch also says that God created out of justice and mercy. He didn't just want to create. He created for a purpose so that goodness, truth, and beauty could be known. Before the sun, before Adam, before even time, there was already love, light, justice, and praise. And at the center of it all was God. Why should it matter who God was before creation? Because it tells us something about who we are. If God existed in unity, love, and light before anything began, and He made us in His image, then we were created from that same light. You were born out of a thought that began in eternity. The Ethiopian Bible doesn't just give us answers. It invites us to remember who we truly are. Random beings on a spinning rock, but children of the Eternal One. The same God who lived in eternal glory before time began now walks with us, speaks to us, cares for us. And if God was never alone, even before creation, then you are never alone either. This message offers more than comfort. It offers identity. It reminds us that faith is just about where we're going. It's also about where we came from. And we came from God. Who was God before creation? He was light before there was a sun. He was love before there were hearts to feel it. He was the Word before language existed. And according to the ancient Ethiopian Bible, He was never without purpose, never without plan. In His silence there was a song. In His stillness there was power. And from that silence He spoke. And the universe responded. You and I are part of that response. We are echoes of eternity. The Ethiopian Bible doesn't just tell a story. It reveals a mystery. A mystery that reaches beyond religion into the heart of reality. The next time you look up at the stars or feel the quiet of the night, remember there was a time when there was no time, and even then God was. The Ethiopian perspective on pre-creation existence offers something rare in religious discourse. It acknowledges mystery while still providing framework. Western theological traditions often feel compelled to explain everything, to systematize, to remove paradox. The Ethiopian approach embraces paradox as essential to understanding the divine. God was complete yet chose to create. God was self-sufficient yet desired to share. God was eternal silence yet became the speaking word. These apparent contradictions don't trouble Ethiopian thought because they recognize that human language and logic break down when attempting to describe what exists outside time and space. The best we can do is approach the mystery from multiple angles, using poetry, metaphor, and sacred text to point toward truths that cannot be fully captured in words. The preservation of texts like Enoch and Jubilees in the Ethiopian canon reflects this comfort with mystery. These books contain visions, apocalyptic imagery, and accounts of spiritual realms that don't fit neatly into systematic theology. They describe hierarchies of angels, heavenly geography, and pre-creation councils where God planned the ages. Some traditions removed these texts precisely because they raised uncomfortable questions and resisted easy interpretation. Ethiopian Christianity kept them, valuing the questions as much as the answers. This willingness to sit with mystery rather than resolve it prematurely offers wisdom for modern seekers. We live in an age that demands certainty, that expects every question to have a clear answer accessible through the right search query. But the deepest questions, the ones about existence, meaning, and origin, resist such treatment. They require contemplation, not calculation. They invite wonder, curiosity, humble acknowledgement of the limits of human understanding. The concept of God existing in perfect self-sufficiency before creation challenges common assumptions about why anything exists. If God lacked nothing, needed nothing, then creation cannot be explained as filling a void or meeting a need. It must flow from abundance, from the overflow of divine fullness. This shifts how we understand our own existence. We're here because of generosity rather than necessity, because of love rather than lack. That fundamental shift in understanding our origin changes everything about how we perceive our purpose and value. If we exist because God needed something from us, then our worth depends on our usefulness, our performance, our ability to meet divine expectations. But if we exist because God wanted to share His goodness, then our value is intrinsic, given, independent of what we accomplish or achieve. We matter simply because we are, because the Eternal One chose to express Himself through the particular form that is you. The Ethiopian emphasis on God as light before physical light existed points toward something profound about the nature of consciousness and being. Light in this context doesn't mean electromagnetic radiation. It means the fundamental illumination that makes anything knowable, visible, present. God as eternal light suggests that consciousness, awareness, knowing precedes and enables all physical existence. Matter doesn't create mind. Mind creates matter, or at least provides the ground in which matter can appear. This reverses the materialist assumption that dominates modern thinking. We typically imagine that dead matter arranged itself into increasingly complex patterns until consciousness emerged as an accidental byproduct. The Ethiopian view, along with many other ancient wisdom traditions, suggests the opposite. Consciousness is primary, fundamental, eternal, and physical reality is what consciousness creates or manifests or allows to appear within itself. Your existence, then, isn't a fluke or accident or meaningless arrangement of atoms that somehow became aware. Your consciousness connects directly to that eternal consciousness, that light before light, that awareness that existed before anything existed to be aware of. You are, in a very real sense, how God experiences existence from your particular perspective. The divine looking out through your eyes, feeling through your senses, thinking through your mind. This doesn't make you God in the sense of being all-powerful or all-knowing. But it does mean you're never separate from the source, never cut off from the eternal light that blazed before the first star formed. That light shines in you now, animating your body, illuminating your thoughts, making your experience possible. When you close your eyes and sense the aware presence behind all your perceptions, you're touching the same awareness that existed before time began. The Ethiopian Bible's preservation of these ancient perspectives matters because it keeps alive ways of understanding that mainstream traditions abandoned or forgot. It reminds us that Christianity has African roots, that some of the oldest Christian communities preserved texts and teachings that others lost, That wisdom about the divine doesn't flow in only one direction from west to east or from Europe to the rest of the world. These teachings invite us to remember where we came from, the eternal source from which we emerged and to which we return. They offer identity grounded in something deeper than culture, nationality, ethnicity, or any other temporary category. Your truest identity existed in the mind of God before anything physical appeared. You are an eternal idea given temporary form, consciousness experiencing itself through the unique lens of your life.